Welcome to the SUNY Child Protection Policies training. This is Module 9, Third-Party Use of University Facilities for Covered Activities. The Child Protection Policy defines a third party as a vendor, licensee, permittee, or other person who is given permission to come onto campus or to use university facilities for covered activities, and the employees, agents, or volunteers of those third parties. This slide, which was previously introduced in this training, provides a graphic representation of the definition of a covered activity. On the left, was the activity sponsored or approved by any of the entities listed in the two boxes shown at the center of the slide? If so, do those entities have overall responsibility for custody, control, and supervision of children? If the answer to both questions is yes, then the activity is a covered activity. A revocable permit is required for third-party use of university facilities for covered activities. There is a special revocable permit that must be used under the Child Protection Policy, and that permit is attached to the policy. This is a screenshot of the SUNY policy website, and you can see the link to the revocable permit under the Appendices section. The revocable permit for covered activities has certain required terms. The first is that specific areas of the facilities being used must be identified. For example, for a sporting event being held on athletic fields, the permit must describe each area that will be used. This would include not only the athletic field, but might also include ancillary areas or structures such as adjacent grounds, parking lots, restrooms, locker rooms, and accessory structures. Any area being used by the third party must be specifically identified in the permit. Second, the revocable permit has insurance requirements. The minimum requirements are shown in the chart on this slide, and they are also listed in the revocable permit. The university must be named as an additional insured. The third-party permittee must provide the university with evidence of its insurance coverage within 5 days from its signing of the revocable permit, and not less than 2 weeks, 14 days, before the scheduled use of university facilities. Each campus will develop local policies to handle receipt of insurance information. Each campus may, in its discretion, require sexual molestation insurance. This insurance is appropriate when the covered activity is substantial. For example, an overnight camp, or if the covered activity is of significant duration, for example, 1 week, or if the covered activity involves large numbers of children. Sexual molestation insurance is generally excluded from commercial general liability policies and must be purchased separately. Should the campus decide to require sexual molestation insurance, the policy limit should be not less than $1 million. If the third party using university facilities for a covered activity is a children's camp, as defined by New York Public Health Law Section 1392, the revocable permit contains a provision that requires the permittee to provide a copy of its camp operator permit issued by the New York State Commissioner of Health. The camp operator permit must be submitted either upon signing the permit or not later than 14 days before the scheduled use of the university facilities. The revocable permit used under the Child Protection Policy also requires the permittee to make certain representations and warranties. First, they represent and warrant that they have conducted sex offender registry searches as required by the policy. They also warrant and represent that they will adhere to the standards enunciated in the revocable permit for minimum staff ages, minimum staff-to-child supervision ratios, and staff accreditation requirements. Permittees also represent and warrant that for any transportation they provide to children to and from the SUNY facilities, in addition to the driver of the vehicle, there will be at least one other staff member in the vehicle at all times. And as we previously discussed, The permittee must sign a written acknowledgement that it has received the SUNY child protection policies and it agrees to abide by them. This concludes Module 9.